Are you planning on flying your drone in Washington state, but don't know where to fly and what laws to follow to avoid a costly fine? If so, this video is for you. I'm going to go over several options for finding places to fly and a comprehensive overview of federal, state, and local laws you need to follow. So let's get into it. Finding somewhere to fly a drone can be a really time-consuming and frustrating process. Things really vary depending on where you're flying, what you're flying, and why you're flying. Here's several easy options that are available. You can generally fly drones for non-commercial purposes in national forests. Many of the most beautiful places in Washington fall into this category. As long as a specific location doesn't have a ban in place for some reason, and you're following the drone laws I'll go over later in this video, you should be good to go. Unfortunately, things are more complicated for commercial drone flights, and a special permit from the local U.S. Forest Service office is required, on top of other commercial drone flying requirements. There's also a lot of state land, managed by the Washington State Department of Natural Resources, where hobbyist drone flying is allowed, which makes things easier as long as you're following the FAA commercial drone laws I'll go over. There's also private land where you can pay to fly your drone, such as RC airplane fields. The advantage of an option like this is proximity if you live in a big city and don't want to drive as far. The disadvantage is cost, as most of these places require that you pay membership fees to fly there. There's also a few places where you definitely can't fly due to federal, state, or local bans. These include national parks like Mount Rainier and Olympic, and congressional wilderness areas. At the state level, state parks administered by Washington State Parks have a time-consuming permit application process that is required. At the local level, many highly populated areas, like the city of Seattle and Snohomish County, have banned drones in parks. If you want more options in your specific area, there's also lots of free apps that provide information and reviews of places where you can fly. For example, here I'm using the DJI Fly app to browse flying spots and find out where other people have been flying in my area. I've listed a few other app options in the description as well. Regardless of where you choose to fly, there are some key federal, state, and local laws you'll want to make sure you're following to avoid a costly fine. The most important authority on drone flying at the federal level is the FAA. They have laws that apply to all drone flying and some additional laws that apply if you're flying for commercial purposes. These are the FAA drone laws for non-commercial flying. You need to pass a safety test called the Recreational UAS Safety Test, or TRUST. It ensures that you know the basics of safe and legal drone flying. The good news is, it's pretty easy. In fact, if you watch this video to the end, you'll already know everything you need to pass it. I'll put a link in the description to an online test provider, but the whole process should take less than 30 minutes. If your drone weighs more than 250 grams, you need to register it with the FAA, and it needs to be capable of broadcasting a remote ID. Registration costs just $5 and covers all your drones for 3 years. Most drones you buy will come with a remote ID broadcasting system as well, so you shouldn't need to worry about that unless you're building your own drone or buying an older one. You must follow the safety rules of an FAA-recognized community-based organization, or CBO. A community-based organization is a nonprofit with a comprehensive set of safety guidelines for its members. Importantly, you do not need to be a member of a CBO to satisfy this requirement. You just need to keep in mind any additional rules they may have beyond the general ones. But generally, this doesn't add any new restrictions that aren't common sense. You need to fly less than 400 feet above the ground at all times. This height limit can be lower in certain special circumstances, such as near airports. There are lots of apps that can provide information on these restricted areas. For example, here I'm browsing the map inside the DJI Fly app to see what warnings around the height limit are present at a specific location. It even includes temporary restrictions that are in place. You should get authorization before flying in controlled airspace. This should only apply if you want to fly near an airport. But once again, you can get the relevant information and even submit a request for authorization to fly from the local flight control tower right from one of the many available apps. You must be physically and mentally able to fly, so no flying under the influence. You must fly under visual line of sight, meaning that the drone is close enough that you or an observer standing next to you can see it. Your drone must weigh under 55 pounds. You need to give way to any manned aircraft in the area. One scenario where this is especially important is around wildfires, where you may be preventing the authorities from fighting a fire by flying your drone. And that's all the FAA laws that apply to hobbyist drone pilots. I've also linked the text of the law in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. For commercial flying, you need to follow a set of laws known as Part 107. This is a much more involved process that includes a comprehensive 60-question exam and a TSA background check. Among other things, it allows you to fly higher than 400 feet and fly your drone for money. If you're interested in a video covering Part 107 requirements, let me know in the comments below. Washington state laws around drones are straightforward. In addition to following the FAA requirements, you just need to register your drone with the Washington Department of Transportation if you intend to fly commercially. There's also local laws established in different cities that ban drone flights or prohibit them in specific circumstances. I'll provide a link in the description to a list of those laws. If you found this video helpful, make sure you like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you have further questions or have another topic that you'd like me to expand on. There's a lot of amazing potential for flying in Washington State. If you're still hesitant about getting a drone to fly in Washington State, check out this video.